I told you I'm living life unmedicated right now. I think this neighbor thinks I'm crazy. Maybe I am losing it. I don't know. I was a film major, not a business major. So bored. Actually, I'll probably be crying a river when I'm editing this. Hey girl, hey. Oh wait, I did want to wear sunglasses. I'm having a bad day. Hey girl, hey, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Katrina Pede. This is Pedes Reads. If you're new here, Pedes Reads is my cozy, quirky corner of the internet where we talk all things like typical girlhood tomfoolery, but mostly books. It's been a minute since I posted. The universe has been conspiring against me, and today I tried to film this video a couple times, and I won't bore you with the details of why that's not what you're watching right now, but I was beginning to have a little crash out, and so I was like, I realized what I was missing was just driving around. I put all the windows down, I opened the sunroof, and I blasted emo music. It soothed me. Oh my gosh, I also got to honk at someone. I mean, I probably look like an idiot to the people around me because I didn't realize that like the shade blockers were still up in the backseat windows when I rolled them down. So they're like blah, 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 blah. And in this neighborhood, there was a lemonade stand. There were these cute little kids, and I got a lemonade, which is, I'll say refreshing because it actually kind of tastes like shit. Then freshly baked today, a cookie and a muffin. Honestly, it made my day. And now I'm gonna see if I can get this whole thing out before that sun goes down. So here we go. TLDR, I haven't posted in a minute, and I have multiple vlogs in the can, and then even like a countdown to summer series, LOL, it's already June, recorded but not edited. And like, I just thought I'd have more editing time. I haven't had a single day free, and I'm supposed to be homeless and unemployed right now, and I really am living like the Ed Sheeran homeless life, because it's not the homeless life for me, it's just I'm home less than I'd like to be. I spent 8 nights of the 31 nights in May in my bed with my cat. The rest were in other people's bed. Okay, that sounds a lot more exciting than it was. Everyone's like, oh, you're so booked and busy. I'm like, yeah, I am, but like, it's not fun. It's not bad. Like, it's not tragedy. Thank God I'm not like booked and busy with like funerals and shit, or like lawsuits. I don't know what's a bad thing. But like, also I'd like to sometimes just like be able to edit my stupid little videos, maybe read a fucking book. Ariana Grande said that, and she was talking to me because I haven't read a book with my eyeballs in like over 8 months. But that being said, I did finish 12 books this month, just all with my ear holes. Oh, also, so my last video was the Q1 recap, and afterwards my dad, like in the most supportive way, said, Katrina, that was a lot, let's make it less. And I said, oh no, for sure, that's just because like this is my first like year in the channel, and I figured this is a way I could do all 2026. From now on, I'm gonna do monthly recaps. I only finished 4 books in April, it'll be short. He goes, okay, 4 books, that sounds manageable. As I was filming that one that day, I am doing my first monthly wrap up. It'll be a lot shorter than that Q1 wrap up, but I haven't had a single day to edit it since that day. I filmed my countdown to summer stuff that day too, and then I don't know where time worked. Like, call me a Rolex because I can't tell time. It's June, so I'm gonna do my May recap and just make it one video. But I finished 12 books, well, 11 books, 12 times. Well, I finished, I get to add 12 to my counter for the month of May, but one book I listened to twice, so it was 11 books. Anyway, it's not gonna be 4 books. This is gonna be 15 books. Let's just get into it. Throw it back to April recap, and then you're gonna jump ahead and see me still hopefully before this sun goes down with my May recaps. I won't tell April recap Katrina that she has to share the stage if you won't. Thanks. To start the month off strong, I finished the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. That's the F1 racing sports romance series. I get it now. The first 2 books just weren't for me, and the second 2 I thoroughly enjoyed, and now I think I will genuinely recommend the series. I'm doing a full reading vlog deep dive, so if you want to know more about the nuances of my thoughts and reactions, stay tuned. But for now, if you're so on sports romances or F1, but you want to give it a shot, I kind of say start with 3, because Wrecked was my favorite in the series. I gave it 4 stars. Jax, I keep wanting to say Jax Teller, but I know that's not his name. Maybe Jax Kensington, but maybe I'm just thinking that because Kensington Palace, because this guy's like London rich. But Jax, we'll go with K. I loved him. He is a beautiful, tattooed, biracial race car driver in London, and he is traumatized. He's an only child, but he is dealing with a lot and self-sabotaging. And then we have, what the fuck is her name? Hold please. Her name's Elena. If you want a sneak peek at what I made for the deep dive video. Woo, I have a murder board for the Dirty Air series. I could probably just show you these two because that's what you need to know for this video. So the two that I finished were Wrecked and Redeemed. And let me read my notes. So Wrecked, 4 stars, enemies to lovers. It's a workplace romance, forced proximity, V-Pro therapy. There was so much positive therapy rep. I call this the trauma bond book. They don't trauma bond, but they're both working through their trauma and that bonds them together. They're also, out of all the couples, they're the closest in age. They're 25 and 26. Part of my ick in the first 2 books in the series was that there was a huge power and age discrepancy between the characters, and that just made me a little uncomfy. Whereas in this one, there is obviously a huge pay discrepancy. They just have a little bit more of an even footing in where they are in life between also processing their lived trauma and trying to figure out a way to imagine a future with it. And then also, okay, so she's 25, she's Mexican. Okay, these aren't spoilers. You find this out in the beginning. Her parents were murdered in front of her, and then his mom has Huntington's disease. If you're unfamiliar with that diagnosis or like didn't watch House and know all about number 13, Olivia Wilde's arc, she taught me what bisexuals were and Huntington's disease. If one of your parents has it, there's a 50% chance that you'll get it. And it is terminal, degenerative, and there's currently no cure for it. And so his mom has it. He doesn't know if he has it or not, but he is struggling with the idea of what his future might look like and burdening anyone else with that. I loved it. It was fun. It was spicy. And it was heart-wrenching, and you know I love that. The first 2 books take place at the same time, and then this book takes place the following year, and so we've gotten to see these 2 characters interact a bit in the last book, and so we're also not like meeting them right away and then oops, they're like in love with each other. Like they've had a year of interacting and forming whatever relationship it is that they have. And then Redeemed, I give 3.5 stars. Here, let me just read my notes. Redeemed, 3.5 stars. Fake dating, forced proximity, grumpy sunshine, meet disaster, disability representation, A+ female friendship representation, Chloe and Santiago. Chloe's 24 and American, Santiago's late 20s and Spanish. She's looking for her dad. She's an anxious, avoidant attachment style. He's an amputee, and he, I think, was a secure attachment style. And then after his accident that led him to lose his leg, he became an avoidant attachment style. But then now, as she's helping him heal, he's going back to his secure roots. But I call this the Beauty and the Beast of the series because he is this... he's like a prince of F1, you could say. And then maybe he was cursed in an accident, which led him to be horribly disfigured in a way that he doesn't want the public to see him and be scared of him. So he goes and retreats to his castle and he hides away. And then this beautiful young girl shows up because she's looking for her father. And then he kind of kidnaps her into a fake dating situation. Oh, and then he calls her Wildflower because God forbid he let her go before the last petal falls. I think it's kind of like a Game Changers series, you know, the Heated Rivalry series, where what's so powerful about Rachel Reed's world is that she's creating a fictional world where we can imagine representation in a national sport that's severely lacking it. With her case, it's like gay men in professional hockey. Whereas in this one, Lauren Asher helps create a world where we can imagine disability representation in F1. And so that's really neat. Watch my video for more notes. But if you're considering the Dirty Air series, but you're not like obsessed with F1, I suggest starting with 3 and 4. Those 2, I'm glad I read them. The first 2, I'm glad I read them so I can say I read the series, but I will never reread those 2. Honestly, Wrecked kind of has some Silver Flames vibes, and I loved that. Okay. Next, I listened to Audition by Katie Kitamura. This was the book club book for my New York book club. I honestly don't know who I'd recommend it to. I think you can pass it, but I also think it's short and it was interesting discussion. So if you're looking for a fun, different book for your book club, that's when I would recommend it. At our book clubs, we always start with thumbs up, thumbs down. And this was, I'd say, the average rating. So I would say, 2 words, fever dream. This book's weird. I don't even know how to describe it. I guess you could say it's literary fiction, or maybe it's experimental a little bit. It's very creative. They play with like the idea of memory and like roles in life, I guess. It follows a theater actress, stage actress. She has also done some work on the screen, but she's racially ambiguous, which has made it hard for her to have roles or commercial success. She created such a rich world that I'm thinking about all these different details, and it's only 200 pages or 210 pages, and I do know a lot about this main character in a really interesting way, but then like the plot I didn't really care for, which I think is kind of the point. A common theme in our book club was a lot of people said that they wanted more out of it, but they didn't want it to be any longer. Do the audiobook for this one, not the reading, because it's just a lot of prose. And I think she doesn't do quotation marks in her writing. Sally Rooney-esque, as they say. It's fine. I recommend it for book club pick and absolutely nothing else. The last book I listened to was The Children of Fallen Gods, which is the second book in the War of Lost Hearts series. This is the series that I described as the Lysandra fanfic. The first book is Daughter of No World. I don't want to go too much into depth because I feel like describing subsequent novels in a fantasy series kind of gives away things or gets too nitty-gritty for people who haven't read the series, but I enjoyed it. I gave the first book 5 stars and I was obsessed. I'm giving the second book 4 stars and I will continue the series. For a lot of this book, I thought it was going to be 3 stars. It was a bit of a snooze fest. I found it slugging. There's a lot of war. I was not paying attention. But then by the end, I was hooked on the edge of my seat. The different storylines that were frustrating me came together rather beautifully and intrigued me enough to continue. And then towards the end of this book, there's a lot of like Machiavellian themes and these different characters that we now know so much about and their histories and their own like perspectives on morals and like ethics. And it's really interesting and I am really excited to see where it goes. So let me know in the comments if you've read this series, if this is just a bit of a because it's like, oh, we have to now set up this huge world, or if it's going to be a downhill thing for me from here. I don't know when I'll read the next one, but the first book I want to talk about is the book that I listened to twice, and that is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I listened to it in one day because I was house sitting a different house and I was talking to my friend on the phone and she said, hey, we have book club tonight. Are you coming? Like, what time are you going to get there? And I was like, what? And she's like, it's a short audiobook. You can do it. Well, I did it. I feel like over 20 people showed up for that book club and all but one contrarian liked it. Like, it was a very universally beloved book. It also has birds on the cover, and I have this whole theory right now that like when you turn 30 there's a compulsory ornithology kink that just kicks in and no one talks about it. I've witnessed it firsthand across demographics. That needs to be studied. I listened to it twice, 5 stars. You will cry if you have feelings or if you're went cold turkey off Lexapro. Don't recommend, but I wouldn't consider this a sad book. It just has like a lot of heavy topics. She's a retired divorcee in her 70s. Ever since she was a child, she's had this affinity for letter writing and corresponding with people. And so she writes handwritten letters to all of her friends and family. She wasn't necessarily likable in all things, and she was very much wrong in a lot of her opinions and initial reactions and defensive, and she had some unhealthy habits, but like it was very, I thought, relatable to the messiness of life, and I thought she was an interesting and open-minded enough character to make her frustrating traits worth it. The format of this book is it's through the medium of her correspondence. It's like 10 years of her life, and you'll get not all of them obviously, but you get to read a lot of the letters that she sends and receives, as well as emails. The only thing that is not in correspondence form is a preface. It's also fun because she's an avid reader, and so like she and her best friend who exchange letters regularly, they always sign off usually like with a postscript about their current reads, and a lot of them are books that I've read or I know about, and so it's kind of fun. As a letter writer, I go through phases with it because it's kind of a time-consuming hobby or practice. Part of Dad's like suggestion to me in keeping these tight and useful is he wanted a visual too, but he doesn't understand how much work that is, why you should try this book or why you should not try this book. At the end of the day, that's really what you're looking for in a recommendation. So why to read this book is I think it's a really well crafted, interesting window into life and all of its like mess and love and relationships and tough learned lessons. Also, the audiobook is a fantastic experience. It's fully cast. Like, I mean, some of the narrators narrate multiple parts, but I think there's got to be at least 10 narrators on this. I bet it'd be fun to read too, especially like the emails, and like some are like ad nauseum, and I feel like it adds to the frustration of like back and forth emails. Like my emails with PopSocket right now because they lost my fucking package. I think it's a great book club pick. Even my friend who expressly disliked it, she had a lot to say, and like we had a lot of fun conversations, and there's so many topics and themes covered in this. And then also Jane Fonda, she said to star and produce the adaptation, and so I am a Jane Fonda stan. I'm actually struggling right now to figure out which photo of Jane Fonda I want to print and frame for my new apartment because there's so many. Pause. Part of my like decor plan for my next apartment is I want to print portraits of celebrities through the years with their pet cats, because I'm going full crazy cat lady, and it is what it is. In her like letters exchanges with Joan Didion, she kind of expands on her idea of the metaphor seasons of life. Her whole thesis is that there are by definition only 4 seasons of the year, and they are quite scheduled and definite, and so she thinks you get to live each one once. I mean, if you're lucky to make it through them all. So she says when you're born into your spring, and that's through your adolescence, through college, whatever. And then you get to live in your summer, which is when you're more formed and you can just like take full advantage of everything. And that's your 20s to 40s. And then it's your autumn, and that's when the leaves start to fall and everything starts to fall apart, and you get cozy and you find your comfy spot. And then if you're lucky enough to make it to your winter, you know, you're just waiting to die. But I thought that was really interesting, and I just liked the idea. And I was like, everyone in my book club is in their summer, and I also like the idea of summer is your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s. As someone who's like really excited to be in her 30s, but who's even more excited to get to her 40s, I just really liked that. But why not to read it? If that metaphor made you want to like get those minutes back of your life, don't read this book. Also, like not a judgment call, but like if your thing isn't first world problems of like rich white retired ladies, this probably isn't for you either. That's not always my thing, but I found her mind interesting enough. If you prefer a plot driven narrative to a character driven narrative, this one's also probably not for you. There's like a plot in the sense that like things happen, and then like there's different storylines that have kind of inciting incidents, rise, like climaxes, resolutions, and some bigger than others. But it's a very character driven story, which I like. I listened to it for book club, and then the other time I listened to it was I drove my grandma to Wisconsin, and then when I was putting her bags in the car, I saw the book, and I was like, yeah, I wanted to get this for you for Mother's Day, but I didn't, and so I figured we could listen to it. And she said, you told me that, so I bought it. I was like, you listened to me? I can't even remember telling her that, but I do think she'll enjoy it. I think she enjoyed the parts she could hear. Okay, so if you are more of a plot-driven girly than a character-driven girly, but you're going on a road trip with a familial elder and looking for an audiobook, might I suggest The God of the Woods by Liz Moore? Honestly, I thought it was magic. I thought it was some magical realism fantasy shit. I didn't realize it's just like a murder mystery set in the 60s and 80s in the Adirondacks at a summer camp. I love summer camp. I choose to believe that in another universe, like in one of the parallel universes, whatever, I am like a summer camp director. So it was like one of the best fiction books of 2024. And then it just had like a popular resurgence this year because in December when Taylor Swift dropped her Eras Tour documentary, she's lying there listening to an audiobook on her phone, and they left enough of it in that the readers, publicists and Katie's, the readers, they figured it out, and it was God of the Woods. But it's also going to be a movie, or maybe it's going to be a TV show. Honestly, I think it'd be a great miniseries. And now I think they almost have the full cast attached. The only name I remember is Maya Hawke. Set in the 80s, and like this girl goes missing at a sleepaway camp. But then you find out her brother went missing and is presumed dead at the same sleepaway camp that's owned and operated by her family 20 years before. In the book, you jump around between the two different disappearances and mysteries, and there's a bunch of different characters' perspectives, so there's different narrators for each of them, and it's really good. I gave it 4 stars. I mean, I'm not like obsessed with it or anything, but I did enjoy it. It was a good one to listen to with my dad. But here's the thing, so in the Eras Tour documentary, when she's listening to it, my whole bit for a long time was I didn't expect the least relatable thing about a billionaire to be the rate at which she listens to her audiobooks. So then I go to listen to it with my dad, and he makes me listen to it at 1x speed. And then like when he and I split up, I kind of still had to keep it down at 1.25 because it's a lot of information, and the way it's written, you actually can't pay attention. So my dad and I did most of it together because we had a couple different road trips, because again, I've been booked and busy. So you might see part of this in a vlog that I did for Vidalia. I mean, maybe that'll come out in time for next year's Vidalia Onion Festival. I don't want to think about it. Long story short, he called me and he was like, I gotta confess, I did bump it up. I bumped it up to 1.5. And I was like, oh my God. I bumped it up to like over 2. It does get easier, but there is like, as someone who like 2x speed is almost my baseline, I did need the 1 or like the 1.1 in the beginning. Long story short, I survived. Why you should pick this up? It's good. It's an interesting world. It's popular. It's going to be a show. You want to be in the know. I think it's a good book club pick. My Atlanta book club did it a couple years ago, or like a year ago, whatever. I couldn't go to that one. And then my New York book club actually did it. I'm going this weekend to it, so that's why I finally listened to it. Another reason to pick it up is it's a great audiobook. And then for why not, I would say it's slow. You really gotta pay attention for a little bit. I had shared with me like 2 years before I read the book an Apple Note that has just a list of the characters, like a few words about them to help you like figure out who's who, because in the beginning there's so many characters, but then pretty quickly you figure it out. It was helpful to me a little bit. So if that's something you're interested in, comment and I will share it. You let me know, but I will let you know who's who. And then the only other reason not to is like I think my dad still enjoyed it, but he found the ending a little unsatisfying. I, on the other hand, found it satisfying. I've read similar stories with similar endings that were a lot less satisfying. He will never be satisfied. Speaking of surprisingly satisfying endings, I finally got my shit together and listened to another book that was really popular a few years ago, and that is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I also recently learned Freida McFadden not only publishes like half a dozen books a year, but is also a physician. Someone said brain surgeon. I didn't fact check it. Honestly, go girl. The Housemaid by Freida McFadden had been so hyped by so many people. I was like, A, there's no way it's going to meet those expectations at this point. And B, I'm not really in the mood for thrillers. And then also like I had experienced some Freida McFadden and I have it on a soft DNF right now. Amazon Prime produced the film, right? So The Housemaid came out this year. Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney. I think it came out this year. Maybe it came out at the end of last year. And the guy from It Ends With Us, not Justin Baldoni, the one who did a good job of moonwalking away from all the PR. I had no interest in watching this film. I have no interest in watching Sydney Sweeney. I didn't watch It Ends With Us. I like Amanda Seyfried, but like, meh. I hadn't read the book. Now I want to see it because I didn't realize Paul Feig directed it. I love his films. A Simple Favor. I mean, I still haven't gone back and watched another Simple Favor, and I know I need to. A Simple Favor, Bridesmaids. I am not doing a good job at being a human IMDb right now, but we didn't even do The Last Holiday with Amelia Clark and Henry Golding. H. Golding. You know who I'm talking about? Okay, so I need to reapply my lipstick. And guess what? I would say the book meets expectations. The Housemaid is your typical suburban thriller. If you've read any suburban thrillers, you will see the twist a mile away. It's hard to like talk about twists in a way that doesn't either spoil the book you're talking about or other books. Freida McFadden really said, let's make this a bloomin' onion, and added more layers. She got me. She didn't get me. It wasn't like a oh my god moment, but it was like a oh that's clever moment. You know what I mean? I've realized recently thrillers may or may not be for me because main characters in thrillers suck, because they have to be unlikable enough that they're isolated and desperate to get into the situation and they have no way out or no sense of community or camaraderie, or they have to be incompetent and they're just stupid and you're watching them be stupid over and over again. And when you're stuck in their POV, that's the worst. Give me third person any day of the week. At the best case scenario, they're likable and competent, but they're unreliable. You're literally sitting there, you're forced to spend hundreds of pages just reading the writing on the walls. Like, the writing is on the walls. That's kind of the whole point of a thriller. And you know that the Kool-Aid man is gonna bust through that wall any second, and you're just playing games with yourself trying to figure out if you can guess where in the wall he's going to come out and when. And then if you're lucky, after that, one of the characters comes back to clean up the mess, you end up finding out that writing on the wall was just wallpaper, and it's gonna peel back and show a whole different picture. I don't like it. I feel like you get a few good thrillers in your life that like you feel, and then after that it's downhill. I have a tendency to overdose on thrillers, and then I literally have to go 2 years without. And right now I'm in a mid cleanse. But that being said, didn't hate this book. So if you want to read it, read it. It is bullshit because it is an Audible exclusive. My biggest issue isn't just that like there's not versions of it available elsewhere. It's that it's not available at public libraries. Honestly, they probably got this mix on Amazon because it's shit. Okay, so while we're talking Audible exclusives, we have to talk about Off Campus. I would say it's the moment, but Amazon decided to drop the whole season at once. This is so yesterday. By the time I edit this video and post it, it's now a TV series, but it was a book series by Elle Kennedy. She's a Canadian writer. She writes these American college romances. And previously, I'd only ever read Top Secret by her, which she co-wrote with Serena Bowen. That I hated. So that's all I knew about Elle Kennedy going into this. So it's another reason I'd resisted the series because I was like, my friends love her. No shade. I don't hate her, but I just didn't want to like, you know, be the party pooper. The show is being touted as like this Gen Z masterpiece, which like I love that for them, but if you read the books, they're very millennial. They're set in a baby millennial time. Like they literally came out when I was in college, but they're clearly written by an elder millennial because of some of the references in them. Like it's just not. I guess the takeaway though is that like college romance is timeless. It goes back to like Sylvia Plath. My friends have been trying to get me to read these books for over 10 years. I don't like college romance. And then it also got to the point where I was like, even if I like it, it's been so hyped now, it's not gonna live up. Whatever. The show's coming out. I was like, bet, you know what? I'll do the first book and then I'll watch the show. And then if I like the book, I'll continue or whatever. And then I read the first book and my first thought was, oh, okay, this was fun. This lives up to the expectations. I'm not obsessed with it. I didn't think I was gonna be obsessed with it, but I had fun. My second thought was, I don't want to see this on screen. Cringy on the page, but like it comes off fun and sexy. And guess what? I heard the show's cringe. But I think since I'm going with the cringe expectations, I'll be fine. The show comes out and they're like, no, Katrina, no. You have to do the first 3 books before you can watch it. Excuse me? I go from binging 1 to I read 3 in 3 days. I listen to them because again, I've been driving around. I haven't had time to read a book, but I've had time to listen to books. This car now needs an oil change. That's how much I've driven it. It's like if you go to like your aunt's house for Christmas, no shade, Theolinda, I love you. And then you get served this like dessert and it's good and it's sweet, but like it's not your favorite, but like it's yummy, it's festive, it's the holidays. And so my plan was I was gonna then listen to the next one next summer, but then they're like, no, you gotta do all 3 in once. So then I had to have 3 slices of a cake that I don't even really like that much. So now I just have a tummy ache. And I have a lot of notes on this cake. I had to buy them too from Amazon because they're not library or anything. But then I also bought these. But there's these new deluxe editions and I really want them on my shelf because I'm a part of the community now. But overall, I would say this is an above average interconnected standalone contemporary romance series. Honestly, I would say I gave all the books between 3.5 and 4 stars. So let's get into them a little more specifically. This is the deal. What's the deal? What's the dealio? To keep it short, sweet, and simple, the deal is about Hannah and Garrett. Hannah Wells, he calls her Wellesley, and Garrett Graham. Something Elle Kennedy does really well in all of these books is the development of friendship. She does a really good job of organically like making them like actually like each other and like enjoy spending time together and like having things in common and banter and like in a way that's like fun. My only note on that is like they're all gonna end up divorced because like just these guys, it's the first time that they're seeing a pure female not as a sex object, and they still are sexualizing them. They just assume everyone wants to sleep with them all the time and that they can get sex whenever they want, and they never bothered befriending women. Now, oh my god, wait, girls can be funny, you can have fun with girls like and keep your clothes on, what? So anyway, it's just like a little annoying, especially when that's the pattern across every book. She also does a good job of balancing fun, spicy college shit with real heavy topics. So in this book, Hannah is an SA survivor, and Garrett did grow up in a home where his father was physically abusive and he lost his mother. They do a good job showing how to be helpful and supportive of a loved one going through those things. On the back, it's like a play chart for hockey, and it says, convince Hannah to tutor me, become her fake boyfriend, make sure I don't fall in love with her, failed. Actually become her boyfriend. Enforce a campus hands-off rule. Oh yeah, that's an iconic thing from this. And apparently they cut that out of the show and like good riddance. A lot of people love Garrett Graham. Sarah J Maas famously is Garrett Graham's biggest fan. That doesn't surprise me. Next, we read The Mistake. This is number 2, and it's Logan and Grace's book. Look how pretty. I think this book is like the most slept on. Everyone talks about the first one because Garrett Graham and Wellesley, and like they kind of like set the tone for the series. And then The Score, which we'll get to, is Dean and Allie's book. This is everyone's favorite. I understand the hype, but I don't understand why people don't talk about this one. Let me just read the play-by-play on the back because that might be faster than whatever I'm thinking. Failed hookup with, oh wait, we skipped ahead. But yeah, this is the juicy part. Failed hookup with Grace. So they're literally... So that's the failed hookup with Grace that he's referring to. Then apologize for hookup badly. And then spend the entire summer pining. Then she gives me the list. And finally, grovel hard to win her back. Okay, so basically it's like a friends to lovers thing. They literally accidentally become friends. He shows up at her door because he has the wrong address for his friend's party. Then he's like, oh, you're watching Die Hard? I love this movie. And it's the second one. Can I watch it with you? And she's like, okay. And then next thing you know, they're friends. And they make out sometimes, I think. He's like, I'll do anything. And she's like, wait, really? And so then she gives him a list. I think this is a perfect, like, out of context spoiler. Not spoiler. The heavy topics in this one are... both of them are children of divorce, but like very different circumstances, which I think is a fun representation. So Logan's dad is an addict, far from recovery. Consequences of his addiction did lead to his parents' divorce. And then Hannah's parents got divorced because her mom was too fun for her dad. Her mom's now off in Paris doing cool shit, and her dad's a professor at Briar. But her parents are still like besties. Anyway, I just thought that was really cool, and it was a really interesting way too to show there's like such a wide range of co-parenting after divorce. This starts right after they get together, and he's kind of reacting to this. And then the summer happens, and after they get together in the fall, this happens. This book, this is The Score by Elle Kennedy. And it follows Dean De Laurentiis and Allie Hayes, everyone's favorite couple. They're the reason that Maverick and J-Lo is going to be like the couple's Halloween costume of the year this year, is what people are saying. So their play-by-play that you need to know is spend a drunken night with Allie. Hot AF. Yeah, bruh. Accidentally imprint on her. Oh, he does. That's kind of fun. Also, like, his Twilight references are amazing. They're very millennial. Commence Operation Secret Relationship. This is like Secret Friends with Benefits. And then everything goes wrong, and then they heal together. Everything goes wrong. A lot of different things go wrong. You will cry a lot in this book. This is the saddest book. I also think it's the horniest book, and I also think it's the shallowest book. The other books like have a lot of depth. Like the village mentality really comes through in this. And I mean, the first one's literally all victims bonding, right? This one, it's an avoidant man and a codependent woman finding each other and then clinging way too hard too fast. They've already been announced that this is gonna be season 2. We're skipping the other one. I mean, it'll come back, I'm sure. Allie has a couple issues. One of her issues, her mom's like dying words where love is always worth fighting for, which like weird. So she likes to like attach to things unnecessarily and put other people first, and it's just toxic and gross. Also, her other issues, she went from a 4-year serious relationship to a 3-year serious relationship, and she's only 21, so she has spent, math, you do it, but a third of her tiny ass life in serious relationships. So I already didn't like how quickly she gets with Dean and attaches her whole life and future to a man again, because like she has no idea who she is. Let's be so for real. And so then for the TV show to go and have her start attaching to Dean before she's detached from Sean, I think it's so toxic. And like, I call it shallow, but the things that it did well, it did do well. And like, I thought it did a good job of like the nuances of breakups and relationships, and like her and Sean like were on again, off again through college, and part of it was like they were really good when they were on and they were really bad when they were off. They're not compatible anymore, and like what they want for life after graduation is not the same. And then the way he's reacting and treating her during this breakup is so unforgivable. It's awful. But like, that's part of a breakup. Like, it's very much giving me like Happiness by Taylor Swift. There was happiness because of you, but there'll be happiness after you. Just because the breakup was awful doesn't mean the relationship was awful. And that's not always the case, but I think it's the case a lot of times. And so like, I liked the way they handled that in this, but they're not. It's in the show. I don't know. I haven't even watched the show because again, that moment's passed. Dean is just a fuckboy. He just like really gave me the ick. He is so gross and like only sees women as easily attainable sex objects. I think I like the reformed Ray when they're a little older and they've like been through it and then they've kind of come out of it and they're like more intentional. Even like the John Logan of it all. Like John Logan was a fuckboy. Like both of these boys probably have every strain of HPV and there ain't nothing wrong with that. But we got to see him early on in the deal before Garrett even was interested in dating someone legitimately. He was interested in it. And so we got to see him kind of switch his mindset and like grow into it. Whereas this guy goes from Allie walks in and interrupts him having a threesome on the couch. And then now he imprints on her. It's not sustainable. It's not endearing. I don't love it. This fan art gives me the ick. I really can't. I'm being such a hater. And again, if I hadn't binged these, ooh, oh my God, that's so funny. I mean, literally, like, look at Bo. Is Bo black in the books? This was way too much time on this series. I'm not a Sean apologist. So continuing on the theme of yesterday, Elsie Silver is another Canadian writer who writes steamy romances that are interconnected standalones. And one of her series is the Chestnut Spring series. The first book is Flawless and Fearless. It's either Fearless or Flawless. I don't remember. I read it back in like 2022, 2023, and I was like, this is what everyone's excited about. Okay. And I just like moved on with my life. Everyone at the time, even then, they were like, first book's good, but that's not why we're obsessed. Like the rest of the books are so much better. And I was like, okay. I never read the rest of the series. Everyone always suggests Reckless, which is the fourth book. And that's Theo Silva and Winter. So Winter's sister, Summer, I'm not making this up, is in the first book. And then Winter's like the icy version, the icy cold sister. It's like Lily Bloom. You know what I mean? Honestly, I hate coming up with character names. Ashlyn on Bookstagram, she had told me when we bonded over being Xander's girlies. She loves Xander's. I love Xander's. She was like, you need to meet Theo. So Theo Silva's in Reckless. And she was right. I think he's book boyfriend material. Everyone says Reckless is like an accidental pregnancy, but you don't hate it. And they were right. I loved it. I feel the same way about Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. There's like a weird miscommunication in the middle. It's like, you just can't think about it too much. They just needed a reason for him to not know that she was pregnant or had a kid until the kid was 1, which, you know, fine, whatever. They did that. An interesting thing about this book, it's very much small town. It's very much found family. She's also healing from a toxic relationship. She was getting divorced from this like asshole who his whole other storyline is actually in the first book, which is the only one I read. So that was kind of helpful. Then like when she's going through the divorce, she has a one-night stand with my man Theo, and that's when she gets pregnant. Whatever. She ends up moving to Chestnut Springs. It's a small town where all the books are set. Like she really finds a found family, which I like and I enjoy. She has like a nuanced relationship with returning to work. Again, this is Canada, so she has a year-long maternity leave. Could you imagine? Speaking of Canadian maternity leave, the show Working Moms on Netflix is a great show. She does end up going back to work, but like it wasn't performative. Like we kind of just got an insight into her internal dilemma and debate about her motivations for returning to work and her motivations for staying home, and it just felt very real, and I appreciated that because I feel like a lot of times in books they put like a moral emphasis on one or the other, and I don't think that's the case. I think there's many ways to be a mother, and I also think from the people I've talked to that I know that have gone through it, they have varying experiences with it, returning to work. It's not something I've read about in a lot of books. I also like this one because I don't think there's a third act breakup. They were separated for like over a year while she was pregnant and having the kid, but they kind of skipped that. So they just like kind of like jump ahead. I liked it. I really liked Theo Silva. He is the kind of reformed Drake I like. Yeah, he used to like to fuck around. And yeah, he too probably has HPV. But like, he also knows what he wants. And like, he's of the age, he's like in his mid to late 20s. And it's like, you've lived it and you've loved that life. You're never going to wake up and feel like you gave up or you missed out by settling down. whatever. I listened to that with my mom because we went to the Vidalia Onion Festival. Again, you will hear about this in that vlog if it ever happens. And then mom and I drove to Chicago, did not vlog that because at that point I knew I had way more footage and zero time to edit. So we listened to Hopeless, which is the 5th one in that series, and it was really good. I really liked it. I wonder which one my mom liked more. I think I gave both of these books 4 stars. It's Beau and Bailey, and literally his dad is like, it sounds like 2 golden retrievers, which fair. I wouldn't call Beau Eaton a book boyfriend, but I will say I loved reading him fall for Bailey. The tropes in that one are age gap, PTSD. He has PTSD. He's a war vet, but he was also like a prisoner of war and missing in action. And so he has a lot of trauma with that. And then now that he's returned to this small town, he's kind of like gossip fodder. And then Bailey, she's kind of a town pariah. Like her family is awful menaces to society, and she gets stigmatized with that. Even though his is still mostly flattering, he's experiencing what it's like to feel everyone's eyes on you and judgment on you, no matter what you do and where you go. And she's a bartender, and she just wants to get out. She wants to get out of Chestnut Springs, and she wants to go to chiropractor school, become a chiropractor, do her best life. She is hot. She's 22. He's like 35. I don't know. He's kind of old. It's a little like, you just got to pretend that's not real, especially knowing that they grew up next to each other, because then don't think about it. There's a fake engagement that doesn't make a lot of sense. They make like a deal, like a bet, and then it involves them getting fake engaged. The bet doesn't make sense, but I was like, whatever it takes to get you guys together. I'm not a fan of fake dating, but I'm a huge fan of marriage of convenience. And turns out a fake engagement's a lot more like fake dating than it is a marriage of convenience. And so we have an inexperienced FMC, so he's also like a little bit of a suitor tutor. I like how frank they are with each other. Like they're able to be very unfiltered around each other in a way that they're not with anyone else. And I found that refreshing, and that made it easier to get past the age gap and some of the taboo elements. He's grumpy, right? Because he's moody and like he's been to war. I mean, it's sad. I mean, it's fiction, but you know, whatever. I'm not belittling it, but he's also like my favorite kind of like in a book, an overconfident flirt. The audacity of this man, I love it. That being said, he then has some really immature mind games where he can't walk the walk, but you know, you get and you give. The found family element, and this is great because again, Bailey really needs that. She's been the town pariah her whole life. She's also like the pariah in her own family. Like she's an outcast everywhere she goes. She lives a very isolating life. They work together to figure out if and how they could make a life for themselves that will serve them both. It's also just really hot. He's an audacious man and she's a confident woman, and it's fun. So while I was looking for yeehaw romances to listen to with my mom, I found online some mention of Sovereign by Raya Morris Edwards. It's the first book in a series. It's like the Sovereign Mountain series, and it's a dark romance, it's a billionaire romance, and it's a BDSM romance and a cowboy romance, right? So I was like, you know what, sign me up. And it did not disappoint. If I hadn't done dark romance before, and if I hadn't done kinky before, I think I wouldn't like this book. So I also don't think this is a jumping off point for you if you're like wanting to dip your toe into dark, because he is morally gray. Like, I think a lot of times we say people are morally gray. This man does awful things, and like just in the name of revenge, but like we're kind of okay with it because of his motivations, but like they're not okay. Never to hurt. Well, he never hurt. You gotta read the book if you're interested. It has one of the most extreme BDSM dynamics that I've ever read, and it's very abrupt because she's never done anything in the kink world, and he just kind of forces her into it. So it's a lot. Like, I had a roller coaster of reactions to this book and like to his actions, and they have a big age gap. There's very much a power dynamic outside the bedroom. There's trust that you know is going to be lost to be rebuilt. They've both been through insane traumas. It's the epitome of dark romance, like in fiction. Like, I would never want anyone to experience this in real life or for this to be their pathway to a happy ever after. But in fiction, when you get to be in both characters' minds and points of view, so you know their intent and their true feelings and motivations, it's fun to read it on the page. And like, I got to the point where I knew that both characters like really respect each other and like want the best for each other and like are obsessed with each other, and like I wanted them to be together and get their happily ever after. But I was questioning myself throughout it. Anyway, I'll say age gap with a capital A and a capital G It's morally great MMC, like truly. There's a BDSM arrangement of, I was gonna be like of convenience, but of dubious convenience. There's not really much dubious consent. Is that what it's called? Dubcon? But it toes the line. Billionaire, found family, and it's just revenge porn. This man is on a revenge tour. I bought a VIP ticket. I will be coming back for the next book. That's all I'll say about Sovereign. It's hot. If you're into that, read it. If you're not, please don't. Please don't. And if you do, don't think I recommended it to you, because I did not. If Sovereign is revenge porn, then this next book that I listened to is vengeance porn. Again, let's talk about a book from 2016 that I never was motivated enough to read. And that is the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. So basically the Mindfuck series is a collection of 5 novellas. So I listened to the first one. The first novella is called The Risk. Speaking of Risk by Gracie Abrams, one of my favorite songs. This book though, not Gracie Abrams vibe. I mean, she might fuck with it. Don't conflate that song with this. They just have the same name. It's 5 novellas, and now like they've all been published as one. Also, I want to like look up the lore behind it, because like the original cover, it's like this girl with like black fingers like this holding an apple that has a bunch of nails in it. And so like I'm assuming it has to be like a Twilight reference, right? But so remember when I said the deal was sweet like cake and I had fun reading it, but I did not want to see it on screen? This is the opposite. The Risk, I hated. I soft DNF'd it. I started listening to it in March in New York, and I finished it in May. Like, I think like May 30th, maybe May 31st. I did not have fun with it, but I found out it's being adapted, and I'm so excited. I think it's gonna be a great show, because I think there's a lot of room to play with it. So basically the premise is, there's this woman, and when she was a youth, she was horrifically abused, and they go into detail in the book. Like, there's a lot of I would search your trigger warnings for this. You think of an abuse, it happened to her, but worse. All this stuff happened, and like to her and her brother, I think. I don't remember. Again, I soft DNF'd it for a while, but then she was left for dead. And then she assumed someone else's identity, and now she's going around years later and haunting, hunting, torturing, and killing the men in a slow, horrendous way that did all that to her. And I love it. It's gross. I really don't love reading it, but I find it very satisfying. It's like Goodbye Earl on steroids. But here's the thing. So since she's been doing this a lot, she's a serial killer. Scott Hunter would know. So she's caught the attention of the FBI. There's a whole team on her trail. Luckily, they're short-staffed, so it's kind of the same team that are on the trail of all of the serial killers. And then she kind of like has a crush on this Dreamboat, and she starts dating him, and then she finds out he's the FBI agent looking for her. So that's fun. I like that part. And then he's a profiler. He has no idea that she's the serial killer, right? And they talk shop. Gave it 2 stars, and the 2nd star is solely for the profiling. But the romance sucks. It's so gross. It's so cringe. It's so ick. I hate everything about it. It's very much of the time though. Very 2000s, 2010s, just corny and fake and like, ew. I don't like the romance at all. I found her portrayal of New York City offensive. Like, that's just so absurd to me. It's offensive. It's the same way I find the opening scene of Verity. This isn't a spoiler. It's literally chapter 1 of Verity. I mean, the pictures were some of the first pictures leaked from the Verity set. Someone gets hit by a bus and their skull gets run over, and you can hear the pop, and then like the blood and gore goes all over everybody. But then people continue about their day because it's New York and they're desensitized. Have you never been to, like, no one cares more than people in New York. People in New York care like crazy. Anyway, that just pisses me off. But that being said, I do think this could be a really good book, because it could be so fun. It can be like, I don't know, it could be not gender bending. It could be, but I meant genre bending. I think there's a lot of different ways. Like, it could go like How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, like quirky, or it could be like Hunting Party Dark, like Mindhunter, like, I don't know, like David Fincher or Sam Rockwell. I don't know, like, you do you, dude. But I think there's a lot to work with. But I'm, a Villanelle and Eve stan till I die. Never watched the last episode, so. But I like it. I think it's a cool premise, and I think they can only make the romance part better. They can't make it worse. And then the rest of it's so interesting, so I think it'll be a good show. I will continue with the series just because I'm curious about her revenge tour of it all. But like, honestly, I hope they break up, because they're so gross. I hate being in their POVs during the romance. It's so fake and gross and ugh. So last, but certainly not least, we have I Don't Want You Like a Best Friend by Emma R. Albin. I really enjoyed it. I'm leaving my sunglasses. No, I'm taking my sunglasses off. It's like gay Bridgerton Parent Trap. if you like the sounds of those things, you're gonna like this. It was fun. It was hot. It was imperfect. There's lots of Swiftie Easter eggs. I had a good time. There is like a thing in the middle where they get like separated for a while, way that feels unnecessary. Unnecessary. What is it? Tolerate it? That was annoying, but I did the audiobook, so I listened to it in like 2 days. I just went faster. And there's a second book called You're the Problem, It's You. And I already got it from the library. I put it on hold when I finished it, and then it just came through. So now I'm gonna go listen to that. I think it's actually gonna be my next listen because I've been thinking about it a lot and I miss it. I was addicted. I loved it. They're trying to get their parents together so that way they don't have to get married, because the marriage mark sounds horrible. Again, I'd like to go back to the 1840s, but without all the racists and getting married off for the highest bid. Taylor Swift. I hate it here. My #1 song of 2025. I don't have a lot of luck with sapphic novels, and so I was happy that I liked this one. In a way that I haven't read in a while, they just like really like each other. They like all the things about each other. Like in the Dorian Havillard way, you don't get to pick and choose what parts of her you love. That was refreshing. That's it. These are all the books I read in May and April. We did it, Joe. My back hurts. Let me know what you read. Let me know your favorite book of the month. Let me know if you like any of these books, if you think I should watch on off campus, if you think I should skip off campus, if you think I should wait and just watch it next summer, if you want me to do a reaction video to watching it. I'm going to try and read One Golden Summer pretty quickly and then do a reaction video to Every Year After, because I loved Every Summer After. Again, actually, I made a video about it already that you haven't seen because I haven't had time to edit it. Life is good. Bye. Have fun. Wait. Go support your local lemonade stand. That's amazing that they charge $1 for this. I should have just given them $6, and then I would still have $1 in my wallet. It'd be 100% tip. Whatever. I'm so over it. Bye. I really do miss you. Okay, that's it.